Good morning. It is Sunday, the 26th of January. I am Chris, and I'm very blurry. Just me?
Yeah, just you.
Just me. This is Plot Points. If you're sitting down Sunday morning scouring Facebook and YouTube for a better podcast about books, movies, TV shows, reviews, I would say good luck, babe. To my right, my
I thought
ride
you
or
picked that
die.
because it was my #1 stream song of last year.
You don't think I get down with Chapel Roan?
We all do.
I think I've been telling people to get down with Chapel Roan since 2022, but we don't need to talk about
that. Trendsetter, you.
No.
To my right, as always, my ride or die, Allory. Allory, how are you?
Good.
Short and to the point. To the right of Allory, the lady that's single-handedly responsible for giving Rebecca Yaros a summer home somewhere. Laura, how are you?
I'm great. Literally right in front of me.
Oh, look at you. Let me see those pages. Your side deal?
It's freaking gorgeous.
That is pretty dope.
So do the bottom because it's light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like a little color shift.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, nice.
I just keep staring.
You're saying it like you already had your copy for like days.
Me?
She has.
I have. I got mine on Tuesday when it came out.
Mine didn't come till Saturday. I ran to the mailbox singing the Blues Blues mail song.
I pre-ordered and there was not even an estimated shipping date. And I was like, no. So I canceled it and I just hoped I got lucky at Walmart. And I did because there were 2 copies left.
Hell yeah. And to the very, very far right, our newcomer of the show, Kiara, she was my boss turned workplace proximity, good friend, became very good friends. Now she is no longer in the Army, but she is one of the few people that have heard the word and is now a resident of Rumville, unlike you two. Kiara, how are you?
I am good. I'm never your boss, always your peer. You saved my life more than I saved yours, and you know it's true.
An
officer's an officer, and put me in an FA job, and it was all you. You kept me alive.
You were also the person that could tell me to do anything you wanted me to do, and I would have to do it. So,
I'm a benevolent queen.
I hear you there, ladies. Let's start off right off the top. We haven't jumped back on in 2 weeks now. Also, if you're on the Facebook, give it a share. It's on my profile. It is not private this time. I wonder why nobody said anything last time we were on. It's whatever. What have we, movie-wise, have we watched anything good, ladies? Anything good in the last 2 weeks here?
I made a lot of big plans to see things and then did not go see them because it was too cold to leave the house. No, I've just been watching Drag Race. It's on in the living room. It's paused.
The years keep going, but Allory stays watching Drag Race.
If I do not immediately know what I want to watch, I'm just like, there it is.
Drag Race. Is that the background noise for like schoolwork or like dinner or things like that?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, hold on. Shit, I hear you twice. I'm trying to share the live.
Laura, how about yourself?
I started watching Landman this week. So Taylor Sheridan's show about oil rigs and stuff.
Oh, okay. You're really selling it. Keep going.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I mean, obviously, I've been super busy finishing the Throne of Glass series, so it's not like I've been watching TV. Like, I have priorities.
I hear you, but you had to wait a whole week for that book. So, hey, just neither here nor there. Kara, what about you?
TV movie-wise, I think I talked to you about it already, Chris. I got recommended the show Mashal, which is like a little anime mashup, for lack of a better term in my brain right now, of like Harry Potter, Naruto. So was actually quite interesting, pretty absurd. The laws of physics were both explained and defied in the show for sure, but very funny. And then as far as movies, honestly, it did my probably every other week rewatch of Dune 1 and 2 because I'm obsessed and they're my current comfort movies. Whether that makes me a psychopath or not, we can
I've not seen them.
for sure.
I mean, but are you watching them like in their entirety, like not getting up to pee or anything like that?
I mean, I'll pause if I have to pee. I'm not
Okay.
going to. But
I didn't know what your
yeah.
level of commitment was to these movies, these
I
films.
have seen them more times than is probably fair. Bit disappointed by the show. I haven't watched that in the past 2 weeks, but the show on HBO Max for Dune Prophecy was a little disappointing for me.
I was interested in the show because I saw some actors that I recognized that I liked, and then I just haven't. You know, I left Oklahoma this last year, and I haven't been to the movies yet because just going to the movies is so expensive. But the only movie I saw in theaters last year was Dune 2, and I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. I think the most recent I watched was Wicked, and I think I watched it 3 times total. So
did you really?
Nice. Yes, I bought their summer home, so Laura and I are both single-handedly helping the people. You know, the people who don't need help. But
Doing
we're
our
helping
civic
anyway.
duty.
Just funded all of that. Myself, I brought it up, I think, a couple of weeks ago. I was just, Jen and I were just sitting in bed at night. We try to scour for some kind of horror movie, some kind of junk that we haven't seen before. And we put on one of those. I look at it face value. I think it's just like a low budget horror movie, but I put on one of the original Hell House LLC movies, and I just assumed it was like a straight to DVD horror movie. Watched the first one, really enjoyed it. Watched the next 2 and the origin movie they made for it, and they're making another movie this upcoming year, and I really really enjoyed it. To say that it's a people who really really love like found footage movies, because literally the first 3 movies take place in the exact same place, and then the origin is a different location. But with that being said, 3 movies in the same bar and basement, you're like, wow, this gets really fucking boring. But it was actually really really good. They did fresh new things in it, and I really really enjoyed it. I'm excited for the next one. And TV, and I don't think I've watched any TV, honestly. I think I was very much consumed with the Ohio State playoff run these last 2 weeks, so I really didn't watch any TV. So
I did forget we talked about. I watched. I saw the TV Glow, which some aspects I liked, some I did not.
right.
But I also watched Saltburn, which I liked a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Really, I had not watched. I have read a lot on like social media and things.
Yeah, I knew.
I liked it better than I thought I would.
Yeah, I actually liked it a lot. The story was not what I thought it was going to be. I mean, it was in the beginning, and then it was not, because I had seen it everywhere on social media too. Like all of the clips that I needed to know.
Yeah, the bathtub scene.
Yeah, and you can kind of piece together what happens there even without knowing anything going on in the movie. I did not realize, because I had seen a lot of like references to Murder on the Dance Floor, which is like the final dance scene, but I did not realize that he was full ass naked in that dance scene, flopping around everywhere for a full 3.5 minutes.
Just flopping as the adjective or verb.
Thank you.
Brian, what's up, dude? Hey, I hope you're doing well. I haven't heard from you in a while.
Sure.
No, I think I only know that song because it got famous from that movie. It got famous on TikTok, and my wife heard it, and she was like, that song's like 3 or 4 years old, right? I was like, no, I've never heard it until now.
I don't think I had heard it either.
Yeah. Movies, TVs. We've all come forward and we've talked about some books that we've chose as our favorite book of the month. Do we have any honorable mentions or any books that we're maybe mulling around this week, ladies?
All that's mulling around my mind is the fact that Laura is rolling up a yo-yo right now.
Oh yeah, I've decided that in 2025 I'm gonna like become a yo-yo champ. I got a book. I have this little light up one, but I have ordered a professional yo-yo.
I'll send some yo-yo thirst traps that have come up on my For You page.
That's what got me.
It's probably the same guy, honestly.
I know, and I'm like, I feel icky, but I also want to do that.
No, I listened to an audiobook of a series called The Selection, which is like a YA like dating reality show, but they're picking the next prince type of thing.
Is this like for a country, or is this like an actual like?
It is for what was formerly America.
Oh.
But is what is now a monarchy.
Brian says House of Leaves, and I have looked at this book a plethora of times and have been almost too intimidated to read it from a lot of things I've heard from people.
Yeah, I've flipped through it a bunch of times, but I've never actually bought it. But I feel like it's one you have to have in a physical copy. But yeah, I have not actually read it. But
I've heard, and also House of Leaves, because trying to think of the show. I think there was like a direct correlation with that and Severance. There is a TV show that I'm very, very excited is back, but I have yet to watch.
Same.
Okay.
I'm looking.
Kiara, have you seen Severance yet?
I haven't. I've heard tremendous things. What's it streaming on?
It's on Apple TV. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you and I talked about this about a different show. It's the only streaming service I don't have. And I don't know why I'm holding out on The Last Frontier, because
Ted Lacker's on there.
Might as well. Yeah.
Shrinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it'll give you, it might give you just weird vibes of where we used to work at. So I might have to forewarn you on that one. The Doom mod My House WAD is based off that book. You're gonna have to help me.
That is supposed to be was.
The Doom Was My House was based. Oh, okay. I got you. No, Laura, any honorable mentions? Well, I mean, you have like 1,000 honorable mentions when it came to selecting a book this month.
What?
Books that didn't make the cut for your best book of choice.
Yeah, like I said, I've really only been reading the Throne of Glass series, but I did listen to this really wild ride of a podcast called Something Was Wrong. They dropped a new season about this chick, Megan Stoner, who is like the biggest scam artist I think I've ever heard about. And I was locked in for that. Like every chore I did, I listened to I think there were like 12 episodes, and I just spent my time doing that.
What was it called?
Something Was Wrong. There's they do like deep dives on different stories each season, and this one was just like my flabbers were gasted.
Okay.
Was it more or less of like how she was doing it, or like the extent of
it? Was like the extent of it, because she went from she was like a young college Republican, like really active in politics, and went from just like fudging data to scamming people out of thousands of dollars and Teslas. So
Brian asked, is it on Spotify?
I don't know. I use Apple Podcasts.
Oh, look at you. Just a slave to your device.
I really am. I'm such a Apple.
What about yourself, Kara? You have anything podcast or book-wise that are worth mentioning?
Yeah, I just recently finished The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. I feel like everyone knows the Green Brothers.
Right.
Tremendous. I listened to it on Audible, actually. But basically what he does is he goes through and he reviews just like the random dist things. Like he's got a chapter on the sunset and a chapter on like a famous soccer player. And he just goes through and he's like rating these things. I think it's super sweet. Like somewhere in the middle of the book, it turns really philosophical and just kind of becomes a commentary on life and the things that we take for granted. I would say if you're listening to it, You got to bump up the speed a little. Mr. John Green speaks really slowly, or reads really slowly, I guess, because I never noticed that about him until this audiobook. But yeah, definitely recommend it for sure.
He has
Love
one
it.
about tuberculosis coming out that I'm really excited to read.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Oh.
Everything is Tuberculosis or something like that. It's like a history of TV.
I every time and maybe it's just me and I'm just the nerd I am. Every time I think of tuberculosis, and it's obviously this terrible thing, but I only think of Red Dead Redemption 2.
I only
And
think about Edgar Allan Poe.
the
I've
Red Dead.
been wanting
Okay.
to play that through again. I love that game so much.
Oh, so good. I was just so pissed. We live in this world. Just a random encounter with an NPC, you get tuberculosis, and that's the game. And you're just
Right.
like, yeah. I haven't. I don't. I would like to listen to more podcasts. I don't. I honestly think it's been probably a decade since I actually sat and listened, completely through a podcast series. I think the last one was Serial with Anand Syed. So, but that one was just everybody had to fucking listen to that one.
That was a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah, that was insanity.
That was really, I think, the first podcast I actually listened to, and that's like kind of where, because I had started listening to audiobooks, and I really like to listen to mysteries. If I can't do fantasy because there are too many characters and places, and I can't remember them, and I have ADHD,
Right.
so I'm half listening at all times. But like Serial was essentially my descent into true crime obsession.
Man. It was great because I was in Japan when it came out, and Aubrey was still little enough to where I could, if she was talking in the back seat or just making noises, like so, just get her quiet because I'm trying to hear her. But it was so good. My wife even got into it really. Sword and Scale. I'm certain that it piqued Laura's interest. So we're gonna go through our book reviews, and because I have it in a random order and you are all slaves to whatever graphic I put up, going first here is Laura.
Hey.
Your book of January. Go ahead. I'm gonna get some coffee.
So he said, I'm out. No, so like I said, I finished the Throne of Glass series. I started it in like December and utterly just obsessed. I think it is probably the best book series. I say that all the time. Like every book series I read is my new favorite, but like this one is, I was committed. Was told not to give too many spoilers, so I'm gonna like.
That is because I am terrible at follow through. I'm trying to find, what was the fourth one called? That's the last one I've read.
I can't. So was it? That wasn't Queen of Shadows, was it?
Oh, it is Queen of Shadows, I think, because Air of Fire is 3. I'm trying to look and see when I read. Okay, I finished Queen of Shadows on December 16th, 2019.
Okay, great.
But
I honestly feel like I should be allowed to give spoilers since it's been 6
I'm
years.
gonna finish it. They're all on my shelf.
So I actually like. I did the Assassin's Blade first. I know that can be a little controversial, but I'm glad I did because it definitely made me like emotionally invested in the characters. And then I did the tandem read for Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn, and I wouldn't have gotten through Tower of Dawn otherwise. But like,
I'll stop you for a second. Describe your method when it comes to a tandem read. How do you go about
I followed a little guideline that like people on the internet created. So I'd like read a couple chapters of one, switch to the other, and just
one is a prequel. It's like a filler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Assassin's Blade.
Yeah.
But it's really good because like some of the characters that you meet in Assassin's Blade like pop off in the last couple books and like come to this epic conclusion, and just Sarah J. Maas does such a like wonderful job of like intertwining all of these different storylines, and like Kingdom of Ash is just like a perfect ending to, I mean, a lifetime of like these characters. And I could not like, I got to part 2 of Kingdom of Ash and I said, I can't read anymore. Like I didn't want it to end. I didn't want to cry. Like I literally sat there and stared at that book for like 4 days and did not read any of it. I like could not. I did everything I could do to avoid finishing the book because I just didn't want it to end.
So I only know my extent of knowledge when it comes to Sarah J. Maas is just, I know she has 2 different series. She has Throne of Glass and ACOTAR, correct?
Yes,
3.
it's got an ACOTAR
We have
ring.
a series called Crescent City. The first one was called, and I think there are 3 of those out now.
Yeah, they have 3 out. I
have not read them.
tried to start that story, but I haven't got into it yet.
Okay. And like from, I know my wife read whatever the most recent Sarah J. Maas drop was, and she's talking about how excited she was and I don't think this is spoilerish, of the possibility of a collected universe amongst all of them. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's definitely like rumors that could happen. And in I don't think this is really much of a spoiler, but in one of the books, one of the characters is like falling between worlds, and like they fall into a world that the description is the like universe from Crescent City, and then she falls in, like the character falls into another world, and it's the description from A Court of Thorns and Roses, like the Night Court. So that's kind of where people think that, like, that's where like the rumors start that these might overlap and link up later in the Crescent City series.
So she's like a literary, like Russo brothers and Marvel making a connected universe here.
Could be.
So what would we call it though?
The MLU, the Mass Literary Universe.
I like that.
Thanks.
Not bad.
I mean, that's not enough words though, because all of her titles are like House of Blood and Flame and Court of Thorns and Roses and Court of Mist and Fury, and we need an of in there.
Like Crescent Throne of something.
Right.
Okay, but I do know. I mean, if you're a book reader, Sarah J. Maas has become in a matter of, probably like 5-6 years, she's become like a household name. Am I wrong?
I'm reading books at a rate like I'm trying to earn a personal pan pizza. Okay.
Oh man, I remember
Those were
that.
the days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those still exist. Aubrey, when we lived in Georgia, Aubrey would came home with those. I'm like, how many books you read this month? She's like, I got enough for 2. I'm like, let's go to lunch. She's on you.
Yes.
Yeah, that was awesome. You can find this book at any book retailer. Let's be real. Everyone carries it. If you don't, you're missing out. It's on Amazon if that's what you do. I did find the lowest price for this book was $14 on Amazon, unless you like to go thrift books. I am a fan of thrift books as well. Where give this out of a 10 rating, Laura?
9.9.
9.9. Where's the 0.1? Where'd it go?
Just that it ended, I think.
Because it had to end.
I can't give anything like full score. Like nothing's perfect.
Right. Just because there's not more of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't like switching love interests after every other book, then you won't like this.
True.
That's why I have not finished it, because I don't like the new love interest that's been introduced. I only want to read about Manon Blackbeard. That's all I care about.
See, and that's crazy to me because like that storyline I could not get into. Until
I was like skimming other chapters to get to her book.
Yeah. But by the end, like by Kingdom of Ash, like that's what's really like I think got me with this series is there's so much character development for every single character except Kale. Old veggie boy there, he sucks. So
you should say veggie boy.
He stays sucking.
What are your like taglines? What are your like hashtags that are something you would put in if you were interested into that would like radiate you to this book or this series?
You're asking me to hashtag it? I don't.
Yeah.
Do
it with your hands as well. Like hashtag Hallie and I started that years ago. Yeah.
And hashtag whatever you say, Sarah J. Maas.
Read it. Hashtag
Like fantasy, smut,
war.
war.
Yeah, no, I'm.
Where does this one rank? Where does this one rank in the smut meter of Sarah J. Maas?
Actually, it is not spicy at all.
This one's not.
Her books are not super like.
She's no Rebecca Yarros, okay? Like
hers are also not. You guys are not.
They're really not either. We're not all trying to read about Minotaur milking.
I will tell you about the other book I'm reading right now, and no, I needed a break from it because I was like, I can't do it.
It was Chris's head tilt for me. It was like, okay.
No, yeah. Sarah, like, Maas isn't really, like, spicy at all, and Throne of Glass series is much less so than A Court of Thorns and Roses, too. So it's mild.
It's mild. It's your pick of the month. It is Kingdom of Ash. Laura gives it a 9.9. A little low on the smutty side, but a absolute great ending, would you say?
Oh, yeah. I've really honestly based my entire personality around this author at this point. I mean, I've got the cup, I've got the ring. Like, let's go.
She's a yo-yo champion as well.
I will be. Give me a couple months.
All right.
Stuck on the forward throw.
Okay. Next, who's in the shoot? Oh, Gar, it's you. What we got?
It's me. I feel like I did not contribute at all to that last conversation because controversially, I have not read anything by either Rebecca Yarros nor Sarah J. Maas or Maas.
There's fun.
You know, I'm not much of a fantasy or romantasy type. I feel like high school me really liked Twilight, and that's about where it ended for me. But yeah, I love watching all the spoilers on TikTok though, so I feel like I know everything without having been through the thickness of the books. But no, so my pick was The Subtle Knife, which is the second book in a trilogy by Philip Pullman called His Dark Materials. Was kind of thrust into the desire to read this trilogy because I saw it on HBO Max, and I like had vaguely remembered this movie from like high school / late middle school, even maybe. I'm not sure exactly when it came out, called The Golden Compass, which was based off of this trilogy as well. But I was not interested in that movie. But when you see a show on HBO Max, you know it's going to be adult and it's going to be captivating, for lack of a better word. So I told myself I had to read it before I watched it. I think both were phenomenal experiences. The Subtle Knife, like I said, is the second book. It goes Golden Compass, Subtle Knife, Amber, Spyglass. But the entire series as a whole kind of follows this multiverse experience, where the particular universe that you're kind of introduced into is one where your soul lives on the outside of your body. And so there's this conversation around kind of what the soul is. I heard Laura say kind of stay away from spoilers, so I will attempt and do my damnedest. But
I won't say that I might not read it, but I am interested in the HBO show. I'm aware of the HBO show, and the HBO show has a bunch of actors in it that I really like as well.
It's phenomenal.
It's so good.
It is good.
So good. Yeah, so I will stay away from the spoilers for sure then. But overarching themes, really kind of this like concept of original sin, also kind of touches on like the juxtaposition between like sin and knowledge. So like scholastic endeavors kind of going against church. If we were going to hashtag be separation of church and state, for sure. Kind of moves into that. And also like the dangers of blind faith when we're talking about prophecy really kind of reminded me of Dune in that way. Like I said, Dune is kind of
Dune full circle, baby.
It all comes
where
back
I
to
reference
me.
to that too for sure, but kind of like those thoughts of like conspiracy and manipulation kind of being what actually feeds prophecy. Yeah, the relationship between the body and the soul and all of these different things. The Subtle Knife's the second book. I picked it out of, I think I asked Chris, I was like, can I pick out the whole trilogy? The second book itself, I liked it the most because I would say as we move into an omniscient third person narrator, where the first book is more so centered solely on the main character, Lyra. And then in the second book, we move into an omniscient third person narrative. And you get to really kind of dive into different relationships. And I think knowing that it's a story that kind of has religious context, kind of seeing men and women in this like societal, not our cultural norms, but like pitted against each other in their characteristics as it relates to kind of how they should be in that context was interesting to me. And then also it's just a whole book of side quests. Like it's not really like nothing gets resolved. You come out of mess in the first book and you go into mess that's going to take you into the third book, and you're just along for the chaotic ride. So yeah.
Wasn't there a lot of pushback about the Golden Compass? Like, weren't a lot of Christians essentially very upset with that book / movie?
I feel like it was such a weird time because I feel like the Golden Compass was kind of locked. I don't know, is locked in a word? It was put into this pile with Narnia incorrectly, I would say. I feel like when you look at the Golden Compass and you look at what it actually signifies, I would say it's almost in direct opposition to Narnia, where Narnia would be a lot more Christianity based in a positive light if you're looking at it from a Christian lens, whereas the Golden Compass, if you actually read into the material, is kind of sacrilegious, if we want to
Yeah, it's
use
almost a criticism of Christianity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the idea that what Christians and religion calls sin is actually original thought, and that one stifled the other. So yeah, definitely. I could see it being a big thing. I don't remember because I wasn't super into Golden Compass at that time, but I could see it being pretty controversial.
I've never actually watched the Golden Compass, like the movie, and I hear like I'm glad I haven't because I heard it's kind of trash in comparison to like what Philip Pullman's actual books are.
Yeah,
I haven't read any of them. I just really remember. I remember one that Nicole Kidman is in the movie, and two that people were pissed, and it just made me want to read it more. And then I did not. So
I remember when the HBO show came out, and I watched it. Like I binged that show. It was so good, and then I actually went and bought the book. So I did the opposite, like order of you.
So are we saying that there was like a big religious outcry when the books were released in '95, the first one, or like when the movie came out?
if I remember correctly, the movie, but I also would have been 4 when the books came out, so I wouldn't have been cognizant of that. But I do remember, like, because I think we were in middle school, and I remember like just a lot of discourse about it.
Yeah, I think I just Googled it. The movie itself came out in 2007. I think that's freshman year of high school for me, or last year of middle school, depending on what time of the year it came out. So
yeah, Larry, you weren't in middle school in 2007.
Ish.
Enough.
Yeah, so I could see it being a big deal, but also me not caring at that point in my life.
No, it's not important to me at all, right? Give it a rating scale out of 10. What knocks it down? What brings it up?
I would say out of 10, I would say probably a 9 flat.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's I think that's a product of it being a middle book, and that there's like it's messy. It's a messy middle book, and so. But I love his writing. I love the narration in it. I love the underarching themes, the critical thought that it brought out of me. But I think kind of hanging in like cliffhangers. But I mean, I picked a middle book, so I did that to myself, right? But it's just they irritate me.
Yeah, but you definitely pick it over the first book.
I pick it over the first book. I think the first book it lays a lot of ground. I think essential for context. Slow on the uptick, but I think not having the external points of view really, because the second and the third both take the third person omniscient. So yeah, but
love it. I did do some search, obviously, other than like thrift books. You can find it for like $2, but if you were to go to a retailer or Amazon, you can find it for about $8. I have been aware of this. I think honestly, the first time I was aware of it was the movie, because I mean, being younger, I think the only thing that stood out was the gigantic polar bear. When I think Golden Compass, I think that, because I think just the visual of it all. But I am aware of it. I did see when it was announced, the series on HBO, and I wanted to watch it, and I think my wife wanted to watch it, and I think she wanted to get my daughter to watch it, but we never did. Because I did see Daphne Keene was in it. She was she was Logan. She was a young Wolverine, and I think, am I wrong? Was James McAvoy in that as well, or am I thinking Narnia again?
He is. He is.
Oh, he's in both.
That dude's in everything.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Go ahead, please. Okay.
No,
I think I texted someone while I was watching it, and I was like, this man has got to have a therapist on speed dial with the like variation of all the roles that he's played, being the monster in the movie about dissociative identity disorder. Like this man, he's paying well for therapy, or he's messed up. One of the two.
Quick side story. I let my daughter and I watch Split probably last month, and she thought it was funny. She thought parts of it were frightening. She thought it was funny, the certain characters that James McAvoy portrayed in that movie with all his Hedwig. So Hedwig, of course she cracked up at Hedwig. He's like, you're gonna get me in trouble, talking like that. And there's a quote in it. I do it all the time, and every time I tell my wife I'm going to work or something, she'll be sitting up and with her cup of tea, and she'll have like her ambiance on. I'll be going to work. I'll give her a kiss, goodbye, I love you. Or I give her a kiss, and I kiss her, and I go, I'm pretty sure you're pregnant now. when he says that in that movie, I lost my shit. Even my daughter was like, one of these. No, I am going to watch that series. I have nothing to watch right now. I have a show that I'm interested in, Severance, but I'm almost on the verge. I haven't had anything spoiled for me yet, so I'm gonna let it marinate for a bit. Let some episodes stack. I'm gonna give Dark Materials a try.
It might be controversial, but it's thorough enough with very little variation from the books that if all you do is watch it, you'll still get the full experience, I would say. I know that's I'm not advocating for not reading the book, but if you're not ever going to read the book, the show will do it for you.
Just a broad enough stroke in the show.
They're thorough. Each book is a whole season.
Yeah, it's a really good book to TV adaptation. Like, it's an example of what adaptations should be. Like,
how many seasons
do it like this?
Oh, okay. How many seasons are there?
3 seasons, 3 books, 1 for each book.
Oh wow. Okay. Great. Yeah, you guys are you're right on with them. That is The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. Next up is damn it, I wanted to be Allory. All right, it's me. I read only 2 books this month, and I'm very behind. Work's been a little bit crazy, as well as I started school up again. But I read my other book that I read this month was actually a manga adaptation of Go Tanabe's The Call of Cthulhu, and it was very, very good. It was very, very creepy. This is he did this one. He did a bunch of other H.P. Lovecraft ones as well. But I read Compound Fracture, and I literally found it on, I do the YouTube dives at the end of every year. I'm like, hey, what are the best horror books of 2024? What are these that I always do that? And like I said a couple weeks ago, I'm always a year late on everything because I spend my whole year reading up on the previous year. This book made a lot of lists, and what surprised me about this book was that made so many horror lists that it is actually a YA book. But the biggest thing everyone says as soon as they were on their YouTube channel, and they were like, but wait, there's a warning. Like this should not be YA. I'm like, all right, keep going, And it is a very brutal book. It is a very, very brutal book. It is a young individual. They're leaving that night for a party. They live in a very, very rundown town in West Virginia. One stoplight that's in the county, very poor, what have you. This individual is leaving for a party, but they have a very uneasy feeling about themselves as they leave, because as they leave, they save a document on their family computer desktop, and it's that this young lady named Sadie has now decided that she is trans, and she has come out to her parents, and she now would like to be identified as Miles. And in a West Virginia family, you guys could, you probably have your assumption of how that could play out, or should play out, or might play out. But she goes to this party that's out in the woods, almost very reminiscent of where the three of us grew up. She's going out to a bonfire party out in the woods, but she's got something with her. What she's got with her is proof that her friends, her best friend's father and mother were murdered by the town sheriff. And she's got photos of it. And she has photos of it because her father was involved in it, and he got away barely with his life. And he has been living in fear ever since. Miles here shows a boy that she is interested in. He might or might not be interested. Maybe he's too popular for her. Shows the photos saying, hey, I've got proof. We need to finally take this, this son of a bitch down. Lo and behold, as they're conversing about these photos and what to do with them, the sheriff's son shows up, and he is pursued and attacked, and wakes up the next day in a hospital, broken orbital bones, and split spleens, and broken ribs, and the whole third. And it's a really wild. It was really, the fact that this got labeled YA was very shocking to me, because this is definitely something I would let my 13-year-old read. It was very brutal. We're talking people's heads busted open on pavements. We're talking people shot in the jaw and picking up their pieces. We're talking about, some more than brutal. I mean, it's all brutal. Sexual assault, but in a YA book, was really like eye-opening to me. And it wasn't really eye-opening to me. It was oh shit, like let me correct it, because I was listening to it on an audiobook in the truck. I'm like, oh, let me get back in the lane, kind of thing. It was, but it had a lot of things. The brutality was top notch. It was, but really, that Sadie is transitioning, and she now wants to be Miles, and you guys can only imagine what this individual has to deal with living in a rundown West Virginia town. And you expect the common tropes. You expect the common tropes of, family don't understand, and people in the community just saying you are this and that's what you are. I really, really enjoyed it. You guys could go and again, you would take a West Virginia father, maybe, and would assume that he'd be very reluctant to call his daughter a young man. But it was actually very, very heartwarming. It was very, very cute. It has it escalates into Miles being involved in a multitude of murders, and it's very, very cat and mouse, which was very good. There is a mention, just trigger warning for both. I know Alary and Laura, but trigger warning. There is mention of a dog being killed, but it doesn't happen in the book. I see it down there. Yeah, does the dog die? In .com. But
got it bookmarked.
I will say, just like any of us, I assume the big thing, there's people. I think by the time you think there's a part in the book where you think that, these individuals went to kill his dog. They didn't. I'll just give you that. But there's like 3 murders already, and you're more concerned about the dog. There's already 3 people have been off. You're like, oh, no, not the dog. No, okay, we're good. Very good ending. A very good. It is a very good queer LGBT thriller. It is very much a thriller, but it's really like a community that's trying to that's stuck in almost their ways, a rural West Virginia town, and young individuals that are just trying to make a change for them, and trying to be and honestly a small queer community that's trying to just be not even be recognized, but just to be understood. It's got, like I said, it's got broken skull murders. It's got people picking up pieces of their jaw. It's got, bar fires that are getting burned to the ground. It's got a lot of brutal things, and I'm very shocked it was YA, but it was a phenomenal book. It was a 9 out of 10 for me. It had a very good ending to the drama, and then that last chapter for me, it had a kind of a cute and quirky ending, and I think I would have liked something a little bit more, a little bit more finality to it. It was kind of like, hey, like things are all right now. We've kind of overcome local law enforcement, and then state law enforcement comes. Like, they can try if they want to. And I was like, oh, you could have given me more, because like it was every bit of like 300 plus pages, and I was really enjoying it. And no, it has a lot of things in it. It has a lot of things like, oh, I'm coming out as transgender. How the fuck do I tell grandma and grandpa? It comes out with it comes out to the point where the sheriff runs every aspect of the town, and at the local 4th of July, they go on stage and present him with an award, a citizenship award, and out him to the whole county. And you're just like, whoa. It's got, like I said, it's got a lot of things that subvert the usual. It's you assume that there's a father that's unknowing and ununderstanding, or not understanding of why my daughter is now my son, but it doesn't have that. It's really heartwarming. It's really cute, and it's really, when push comes to shove and people are being killed left and right, and the town is on fire, a family coming together to understand. And I really, really, really enjoyed it. I picked it up. I was a sucker and picked it up at Barnes and Noble for $19.99. You can get it on Amazon for $17, or you can go on Thrift Books and find it for $10. But very good book. Best book I read this month. It is by Andrew Joseph White, who wrote 2 other books, which I believe have one has a really, really cool title. And the most adorable thing is if you go to the Goodreads page, the very first review is his wife. But the 2 other books that he wrote are The Spirit Bears Its Teeth and Hell Followed Us. Great titles, by the way. But very, very good book. I give it a 9 out of 10. I liked the ending of the thriller of it all. I thought it was very done well. It was done smart. I just thought that the tongue-in-cheek final words could have been a little bit better. But I recommend it. If I were to recommend it to a young adult, I would say 16,
Maybe.
probably 16. But that was my choice of the week, of the month.
I feel like a whole topic in and of itself is books that would have been 5 stars until you hit the end.
Right.
While you were talking, I thought of at least 2 or 3 where I was like, I felt like I read a good thing until the very end of it. And I was like, oh, you could have just done so much better. I couldn't have done better for you.
No,
you could have done better.
Well, it's got me excited because I think we've discussed next month doing a group read of Tender is the Flesh, and I've been informed that Allory has read it and she'll do a reread. But I have heard from Allory and multiple sources that the last page of the book is almost absolutely mind-blowing in a sense, but now that I put that in your head, you have to fight the urge from going to that last page first and just read the book.
The last page won't make sense if you haven't read the book.
Okay, good.
It won't matter. Like, you have to read the whole thing. I will say, because as soon as you brought up animal cruelty, I meant to text to the group chat some trigger warnings for animal cruelty in Tender is the Flesh.
Okay, so we're going to really push through.
I skimmed. Yeah.
Okay.
For 2 pages.
Yeah, people be damned, because I know what it's about.
You said
cruelty.
You said it. That was perfect because you said that, and then your dog came right in a frame on the back of the couch.
Hello.
It said trigger warning whip. But that is Compound Fracture. I suggest to anybody who one likes a good thriller. One is from maybe the area which Allory and Laura and I are from, and again, a lot more of a young teen understanding what it means to be a queer individual in these towns, and actually having some semblance of a support group in a rural West Virginia town. But very, very good book. I very thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not a book I thought that I would radiate to, but I would go and read this individual who is a trans person. I would read their other works because I thought it was very, very well done. They talk about, I hate books that do, or even so much more. Like, I'm a big anime guy, but an anime that's like, what do I do now? I could throw a punch, but he'll block it. Well, this does all this internalization, but this does it very well, and it does it very well of understanding a young teen that's trying to figure it out themselves. So very, very good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. That was my book of January, and let's get last but not least, Allory. I had to put yours to the side because I tried to fit that text on there because you got a little bit more on there.
Okay.
Of all people, I didn't think you would be the one to pick a manga. I figured it would be me, but
yeah, I do. I have a lot of manga. A lot of them are like slice of life. This is more of an action thriller manga, which I really enjoyed. My issue with reading these type of mangas is that I feel like a lot of times my eyes cannot decipher what is happening on the page when like there's a big fight scene because they're all in black and white. Like, there are sometimes that I'm like turning the book trying to figure out, like, I don't know. I feel like it's a new thing. Yeah, that I like for like when the first death occurred, I was staring at the picture for a long time to try to see if I could flesh out what happened. Like, this is one of the pictures. So I just stared at it for a long time, trying to figure out
broken limbs. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is Can't Stop Cursing You by Kensuke Koma. This is their only series, so it's only 4 volumes. I couldn't find really anything about it. Like, it's just this series.
Yeah.
So I only read the first one. I had planned on reading all 4, but they wouldn't get here. Only the first 3 would get here, and I didn't want to do. I either wanted to do one or all of them,
Right.
and not like the first 3. But essentially, think Death Note, where you're giving a teenager the power to kill indiscriminately. In this case, our lead character, Mikia, who friends call him Mickey, trade, like makes a bargain with this entity that we are not completely aware of what their role is in this world, because we only get the very beginning and we get a glimpse of them at the end again, and they're wearing like this mask with horns. But basically, if he fulfills his contract to curse kill 30 people in 30 days, he will then be granted like an absurd amount of power. So to curse kill, all he has to do is use the curse kill phone that he's been granted. He has to know the person's phone number, like the
Has to be like in their contact list.
basically, yeah, like he
Okay.
can't get it from, he won't be provided with the number, like, and he can't just like do it by name, like he has to find their number if he doesn't have it. So he's at this high school and he's like the prince of the high school with it, which if you're into anime or manga is like a very common trope, like you're the prince of the high school, but he's unattainable, he's nice to everybody, everybody looks up to him, but he is actually an asshole, like secretly, and has been waiting for, like, he's been kind of like bullying people on the sly without word getting around, and then this is just like his major power trip because he has the ability to kill his classmates, which about 10 pages in, I'd say, is when we see the first on-screen, like on-page death. So what we then find out is that this guy who's on our cover, what's his name? I'm terrible with remembering. Sayama. He is a teacher at this school, which I am hoping in the other volumes that there's more information on how he's this teacher, but he is also a curse breaker. So he is
Naturally.
Yes. So once the first death happens, he's like, boom, this is a curse killing. I have an ability where I can talk to the soul of one of the recently cursed, and I can ask them one question, but only a yes or no question to try to help me figure out who this is. So that's
also an English teacher. Just
yes. Yeah. So I'm hoping there is more information about that later, but sometimes with manga you just have to take it for what it is. Like sometimes sometimes it's absurd, right? And we don't get every single aspect of world building like we do in a fantasy novel that is 600 pages, where this is, panels of 200 pages. So essentially we see both POVs. We have the detective trying to hunt down the curse killer, and we have the curse killer trying to outsmart the detective. What I did not realize going into this, because I thought this would follow, like we would follow this story throughout all 4 volumes. We do not. This story is wrapped up in this volume.
Oh, wow.
And then it is going to continue in the second one with some of the characters. I'm not going to reveal with which characters, because then that'll kind of spoil things. But yeah, so it is not a big drawn out story. Like it wraps up within this one volume, and then they're dropping hints about other things that are going on, because there are other curse breakers and there are other contract like curse killers, and we have this mysterious entity that, let me see if I can find a decent visual of them.
So am I to think that, this story wraps up with this individual, and then like the next school year comes by and it's day 1 and the teacher's doing roll call and he's like, fuck, this guy, or like he just knows that he's got this other person that's got a crazy death phone?
Not exactly, but I would like that.
Right.
So this is like the
I had your brother last year, kind of like that.
Yeah. So this is the curse god we see. We get a glimpse of him granting the power to Mickey at the end, and then we see him again kind of setting up where the series is going to go from there in the at the end of this volume. I really liked it. I'd give it a solid 7.5, 8, just because again there are some questions that I'm hoping are answered later, but that's kind of the point, right, of having a 4-volume thing, that you're supposed to leave with some questions at the end to make people want to come back to it. It's really fast paced. It's pretty easy to follow along with. There's some good gore. I do really like the illustration. I feel like, again, with it being black and white, sometimes if something's too gruesome, I think it's hard to decipher on the page, because then it's like we don't have the colors to distinguish like gore, essentially. I did try to start reading volume 2 on some website, and if you've ever been on any websites where you're trying to read something for free, there are some questionable ads. I was greeted with the most horrifying ad when I switched it from chapters to volumes. That's all I wanted to do, because it had them listed, and I was like, cool, I've already read volume 1. I'm going to switch it over to volumes, pick volume 2. The pop-up that popped up had me, a smut lover, gasping and clutching my pearls. It was like, and it was an animated thing. It was like not even people, but the title was "Which hole will you pick?" So do with that, with your imagination, what you will. And I was like, oh my God, get off my computer. I'm just trying to read this manga.
Was anyone around you, or did you cover the pet's eyes?
No, luckily, I was on the couch by myself, but I was still like, oh my God, like my mom was going to walk in at any second.
It's bad when you're like embarrassed while alone.
It was horrifying.
No, I do. I read a lot on manga decks online, and I do get the pop-ups. But the funny thing is, because you got independent people uploading these volumes from like the actual Japanese magazines and stuff, but they'll sneak those into the actual advertisements. You're like, oh, come on.
This was so I was on my laptop. It was a full screen, full page, like it immediately ad that I had.
You couldn't find the X.
It was its own. It wasn't even a pop-up. It opened its own tab on my computer, full screen. And I was just hit with it full force.
They're getting smarter.
I mean, it begs the question, though, which hole did you choose?
I mean, there were 3 options, so I will let you do with that what you will. And none were the mouth.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You want me to share my screen?
Reminds me of one missed call of the Japanese movie where the killer gets the victim's phone calls and dials the last number, and that becomes the new victim. Oh, I do remember that movie. Yeah. I do remember that one. Was it good enough to where you finished the volume and you're like, okay, where's the second one?
Yeah, I'm for sure gonna read the rest of them. Like I said,
on that website.
I mean, after the initial pop-up, I still have the website up, because after the initial pop-up, I've been able to read fine. I only read a couple of pages, but like every time I was very cautiously clicking the next button, like, but also like holding up my phone, like maybe. I really liked it. I'm gonna read the other 3 for sure.
Love it. Now, is this a Japanese manga, or is it a Korean like manhwa? Do you know?
I don't know. Let me see where.
Because I ask because when it comes to Korean and manhwa, they tend to be a lot more brutal than Japanese are.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering when it comes to the level of brutality. Like, what are we talking here?
It's really not like it doesn't show. It's really like 1 or 2 panels that show the deaths. And it's kind of, if you've ever read, I read a book called Spontaneous, where teenagers start spontaneously combusting. There's also a movie version of it. It's basically that. They kind of just like blood spurts. It's very unclear what the actual cause of death is, but there is blood. And then they just like collapse.
I'm with it. So Can't Stop Cursing You. All 4 volumes are in fact out. I did look that up.
Yep, this came out in 2021, the first volume. So it's wrapped.
Love it. So we are past the hour mark. I went and uploaded the first half of a very kind of like spooky short story I really enjoyed, and I thought you ladies would enjoy as well. But I think we hold that on to maybe in 2 weeks we do that. I know we're gonna do 2 episodes next month. We're going to do one. I assume we can go ahead and make it. I think it's the week of Valentine's Day. Maybe we decide on some kind of lovey theme. The one I was thinking of was maybe relationships in books, movie, or television that we wish would have happened and didn't happen. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do that and then delve into the first half of this spooky story I have cooked up called Dark Eyes. Really, really enjoyed it. I think you ladies would enjoy it as well. And then the second episode of the month, we're going to do right at the ass end of the month, do our tandem group read of Tender is the Flesh. I have a copy. Kiara, you've got a copy still, yes. Allory, you own it. Yeah.
Yep.
Laura, are you going to be able to break the Rebecca Yarros stranglehold that is upon you?
I am gonna start Onyx Storm tonight, so I should be fine by then. Because
I'm like 70 pages in. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at Tender as the Flesh. I'm looking at a 209 page count, so I don't think it's that long. Yeah, okay.
It's short, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I heard there's a very, very nice local bookstore in Olympia that I went to, and I've heard this is a very kind of holy shit, or not. I don't know if brutal is the right word, but it's a very bold book, if I would. And I went to the bookstore looking for it, and I couldn't find a copy of it, and so I went to the front desk, and very nice young lady there. I was like, "Hey, I mean, I'm looking for a book, and please." Don't judge me. I heard it's a very brutal book or a bold book, but do you have a copy of Tender is the Flesh? And she has like a rack of shit. We just got 2 new copies of it, and here you go. I am very excited for it. I went and read through my entire to be read pile of single issue comics. I've got all those knocked out. I've got homework I need to do today, but then I think I'm going to start this today, or I'm going to start. His Dark Materials, either or. Plans for the rest of the day, ladies?
Yeah, I have lesson plans, and I'm gonna watch the Bills knock the Chiefs out of their Super Bowl run.
Yeah,
I love that. Like the path of handsome quarterbacks in the NFL has also piqued Allory's interest in the NFL. That's funny. But does him being engaged to Haley Steinfeld have any correlation with that?
I love Haley Steinfeld. No, I love Josh Allen because he was very much an underdog coming into the NFL. But also he looks like he has not a damn thought behind those sweet eyes. He's just a boy. I love him. And he's so, like, if you watch any of the social media videos, like if you follow the Bills on TikTok or whatever, like he's so funny. Like I absolutely love him. But so cool for getting Seinfeld also.
What time is that game on?
6:30 my time. Commanders play at 3:30 against the Eagles.
12:30 for me. Okay, too easy. Laura, how about yourself?
I'm gonna make chicken bacon ranch subs and work on my yo-yo skills. So
working on my yo-yo skills.
Got a long day of yo-yo ahead of me.
If you don't join the podcast in 2 weeks, and if you don't just like step back there, maybe just go up against like the wall or the pillar and just like you're just back there just spinning or rolling. Is it or yoing? I guess yoing. Yoing. I will be disappointed. Kiara, what are you doing the rest of the day?
I am being a vegetable. Boy, I did so much yesterday. I just felt like I was ping-ponging all over the place. So today is recoup before I have to work. So literally nothing. Maybe I'll finally get that Apple TV subscription and find something to veg out on. But definitely it's probably me, my couch, my dog, and takeout. Like I don't even plan on cooking today.
Hell yeah.
I don't cook a bowl of cereal. That's all the effort that I have.
It sounds like the perfect Sunday, honestly.
My recommendations again. I love Severance. I love. It's very funny and heartwarming at the same time. Shrinking is very good. Allory is a big I'm that person that I don't watch things just to despite people, because I have never watched an episode of Ted Lasso or Yellowstone because it always gets
I have
recommended
not
to
watched
me.
Yellowstone.
So
Yellowstone is
I
not
won't watch
something
it.
that- But I also love soccer, but there's not a whole lot of soccer in the soccer show, but it
No.
is truly like the funniest, wittiest, most heartfelt show. Like there's a whole episode where Ted is essentially just having a panic attack for 40 minutes. Like it's like it has everything. It is so good. The character development is incredible. I cannot recommend it.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Mhm.
Laura has recommended, what was the Masters of the Sky? That was Apple TV, yeah?
Yeah, Masters of the Sky. That
The Emily Dickinson one with Haley Steinfeld is also a lot of fun. It's historical. It's gay. It's got Haley Steinfeld.
3 things I love.
Hey,
Okay, absolutely.
Very nice. All right. Well, ladies, thanks for jumping on here with me. Thanks for talking books. Thanks for revitalizing yo-yos.
Bringing it back.
2025 is the year of the yo-yo. I don't know how you weren't already aware of that.
I was yo-yoing in a bar yesterday, and the bartender was like, "I've never seen anybody do that in person."
The birds are going.
Those
Yeah,
fucking
Hugo
birds.
We were so quiet this whole time.
They were. I will give you that. They were. Ladies, again, thanks for joining. I hope to see you guys back in 2 weeks. We'll get together and finalize what our choice for in 2 weeks is. I think that sounds like a good one. Love or relationships that we wish happened but didn't. What
Yeah,
could
I
have
like that a
been.
lot.
I think that sounds fun. Movies. We can go movies, television, or books, series, whatever.
We could jump right into fan fiction if you want.
Ooh, I think now that's
I
Tara's.
got what I wanted in fan fiction in one case, though. I feel like
There we go. We do that. Then end of the month, we come together and collectively soothe each other. Right? Did you drop? You're a fucking stud already. Look at you. End of the month, we come together and we console each other of what we're about to read with Tender as the Flesh and tell each other it's okay. But this has been Plot Points for the couple people that jumped on. Thanks for coming on. Brian, love you, miss you. I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I miss you, buddy.
And ladies, Carl, we're in a group chat. I was going to add you, but then I saw you had an Android. Is that true? I was like,
we're in the group chat.
I was about to hit send. I was like, oh, I'm like, is it going to get weird?
It's
Do I have to
fine.
send
it won't hurt my
Tim
feelings.
has a Google Pixel, and he turned our entire family group chat green, and he'll never be.
It's all right.
I will say that now there's like the different kind of messaging where I can now react to things, which is nice. I use the one that has like the interface to be able to do what you do in iMessage. But yes, I am an Android.
Well, that you just fixed it because most of our responses are just
reactive.
reactive.
Care of what pet is closest to us at that time. So
yeah. So I will add you to our little humble Plot Points group chat, and I will. Oh, we're all inclusive. Android is welcome. Here we go. That's right, Brian.
Calling out intolerance for Android users.
Right.
So we don't discriminate.
No, I will hope to see you both, all 3 of you, in 2 weeks. We'll talk about Love That Should Have Been, and then 2 weeks after that, we will talk Tender is the Flesh. I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday, and you all take care.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Josh Allen.